As we realize that there are special issues concerning presidential elections that need their own distinct treatment. And it particularly concerns rules that Congress has established with respect to the timetable between Election Day, when we as citizens cast our ballots, and then later on when the so-called presidential electors in the Electoral College cast the official votes for president. And that is an incredibly arduous schedule that Congress has set up. It almost creates a kind of engineering problem for how do you handle all the issues that might arise if it's disputed. If it's not disputed, it's just a formality. But as we saw in 2000, when it is disputed, the clock starts ticking and it ticks really fast. And so what we've done is we've identified that there are 3 distinct components conceptually of what has to happen in those 5 weeks. The first is what we call the recount. That's what people ordinarily think of as ballots were counted on election day or election night, and you want to make sure that count is accurate. The second thing that you want to do is review the accuracy of the voter registration lists and the notion that all the voters were proper voters and all the ballots are proper ballots. And that's sometimes called the canvass, or the canvassing of the returns. And again, there's a lot of technicalities in that. But in a normal election that's not under a time pressure, that'll be handled separately from a recount in a separate administrative procedure. And then the third component is something that's called an election contest. It's a technical judicial procedure where after the administrators have certified the count, somebody who objects can say, wait a second, we think that something was wrong. And where you have allegations of fraud or sort of massive voter disenfranchisement or systemic problems in an election, that would tend to come up in a contest. And so what we've done is take those 3 separate procedures and figure out a schedule where they can work together within a 5-week framework, recognizing that local officials need to be involved, statewide officials need to be involved, administrative officials need to be involved, judicial officials need to be involved. And what we think we've achieved is the best workable, feasible way to do that within a 5-week period. So as we've gone about developing these special rules and procedures for a presidential election, we've been guided by a couple of overarching ideas. One is the importance of clarity and specificity in the rules. Because election litigators honestly tell us, our advisors tell us, they'll litigate over ambiguity. Ambiguity is the election litigator's friend because it gives you something to fight about, particularly if you're behind. So the goal is to reduce that ambiguity as much as humanly possible ahead of time. And the other related idea is the notion of doing it ahead of time. If you can establish the rules of how to count a ballot before the ballots are cast, that's a really good thing. If you're disputing how to count a ballot after they've been cast, that's where gamesmanship can come into play, or partisanship can kind of affect the process. Because again, one side is going to say, well, can I manipulate the rules to my advantage? So clarity and specificity, but doing it before Election Day. So that's why we've set up these special procedures and for states to put into place in advance of Election Day.